Welcome to the Pot of Inquiry, everyone, the podcast for human optimization and understanding. My guest today is Jim Pfeiffer. Jim is a multifaceted individual who I loved having this conversation with because we talked about many things that went in different directions that I thought would be a little bit different in the planning for this interview. But needless to say, it was a wonderful conversation, and we discussed some things that I think you'll find very interesting, dealing with health span, longevity, and then, of course, the way he makes wines, which I have a fascination for. And I think you'll like and pick up a lot of really cool things from this chat that I have with Jim. So please enjoy this conversation.
Welcome to the Pot of Inquiry. Ready for some thought-provoking cerebral whipping and the destruction of ridiculous medical dogma? Want to shift those stale, moldy old paradigms? Well then, don that thinking cap of yours. Get down in the cave and join our host, Dr. Stephen Barrett, for this week's episode. Let's start spelunking.
Welcome to the Pot of Inquiry, the podcast for human optimization and understanding. I'm here with Jim Pfeiffer. Jim, thanks for coming and joining the show. And I think we're going to have a great conversation today about some things that I love, wines, and we'll talk a little bit about chemistry and some of the nuances there. So we'll probably bounce around a little bit. But before we get started, why don't you tell everybody where you're from and what you're doing? And I think that's very interesting. It'll give us a starting point for this great conversation.
Okay, great. Thank you, Steve, for having me on your podcast. This is excellent. I love it. Thank you. My name is Jim Pfeiffer. I'm the owner, winemaker, and grape grower at Turtle Run Winery in Corydon, Indiana. Now, when you think of Corydon, Indiana, if anybody's ever heard of it, it's near Louisville, Kentucky, by the way. It doesn't necessarily come up as the mecca of wine production areas. I had the great chance in college of taking a really detailed class on wine, and I got hooked completely on it, viticulture and winemaking and just wine enjoyment. And I set about after college to establish a winery and vineyard, but I'm not a Me Too person by any stretch. So I didn't want to go where really anybody else was, but I wanted to seek out areas that had a good chance of being able to grow great grapes and great wines in areas that nobody had really looked at or explored. So here I am in southern Indiana on great limestone and just enjoying the life of a winemaker and grape grower.
That's very cool. And you also have a background in science as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Through athletic endeavors, having to learn nutrition and pharmacological. Our winery has evolved into being one where we kind of mix the two together. Meaning, I've learned in life that the more minimalist you can have as far as the amount of chemicals and chemistry that goes into your body, the better your body is going to be able to respond. And likewise, in our industry, in our wine industry, there's just a whole lot of additives that we can put into wines. And from the onset, we've never liked that. We've received some and purchased some just to play with, not to necessarily put in our wines, but to gain an understanding of how they work. But that's not how we do things here.
Right. And so one of the things we talked about a couple of weeks ago when we were just having a great conversation is that you were a nationally ranked marathon runner.
Triathlete.
Or triathlete.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, even more impressive. So tell me a little bit about that. I mean, obviously that experience had to shape you a little bit for even what you're doing now in the wine world and health and all of these things.
Oh, it absolutely did. One of the things that I always like to explain to people when they think that a door is necessarily closing, perhaps another door is opening in place. You're like, wow, I would not have done this had that not happened. And so yes, I went to college for cross country, Miami of Ohio. And before I could land a foot on campus, I tore my plantar fascia and just shredded it. It just gone. I felt it roll up in my arch. It was the worst feeling ever. And I was like, I can't run. I don't believe this. And so I picked up a bicycle and I started riding. I was like, wait a minute, I think I like this a little better. This is fun.
Mm.
And so I switched to cycling. And then in college, when the weather was deemed too inclement to ride, which I don't know what that was, we went out in 17-degree weather once. So
Wow.
I don't know, but we would hop in the pool and swim. And so I started picking up swimming, and I saw this burgeoning sport after college called triathlons, and I was like, I'll give that a try. And I end up seeking professional coaching in the swim, and within 2 years I was nationally ranked and just racing all over the place. And I was nationally ranked in Olympic and sprint distance, and I had a lot of fun with it, and it was good training. And you always realize in that kind of training, nutrition really matters,
Right.
and your health really matters. So just took some deep dives into into how to be the best, healthiest I can be. And I realized just through life that trying to avoid pharmacological products was probably going to be the way to go. And so I've lived a clean life all my life, and yeah, athletics set me there. And today I'm a high school swim coach. Coached the Our Lady of Providence High School for the past 10 years, and I swam 5,000 yards this morning with two of my swimmers. How about that?
Wow. Wow. That's very
Good stuff.
impressive. Yeah. Yeah. So is swimming the favorite sport of the triathlon for you, or do you like running or cycling better?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. Um, I like the swim because if I could get out in front of everybody, then that set me up for the ride. And then I would just go pretty much all out on the ride.
Yeah.
And then some races I was all alone. And then I got to put on my running shoes and just finish.
Run.
It was great. So I always felt like in the run, somebody was probably trying to chase me down. So then I had to run super fast.
Right.
So I enjoyed it. It was a great time. It was kind of funny was when you look at the starting line, you see people like, wow, that person's got the bod. This person's got the bod. I look okay, but not like them. But that didn't matter. I could still win and still race competitively, and it was fun. It was a great time. And
So
yeah,
which one's your favorite
oh,
sport?
I would have to say the cycling was, no doubt,
Okay. All
no
right.
doubt. Yeah.
Why was that?
Um,
Just maybe
Reason
easier on
being,
your body, or
no, I could really fly on the bike,
yeah.
and so I could. I especially liked it when a triathlon, which was very rare that a triathlon had a lot of hills in it, but
Right.
that was where I really had my calling card, so I could really fly up the hills. And when you can push those hills and pass people, it's just fun. It's just a great time.
That's
So
it. Yeah.
yeah, and then add some rain sometimes even better, because then you had to demonstrate your cycling skills and stay on the road and go fast. And I really enjoyed that too.
That's pretty
So
cool.
yeah.
So you said you got into the non-pharmaceutical, program, and very health conscious. I mean,
Mhm.
you can't do anything like that without falling into like a super strict health conscious lifestyle. What
Correct.
I mean, there's been so many changes over even like just the last 10 years. You
Hmm.
were a very early adopter of this type of health philosophy.
I was the diet that I jumped on a long, long time ago, and I still am on it, is the zone diet. So I balance carbs, proteins, and fats. Um, I have for every meal for the. I can't remember when I didn't do that, and I've seen the fads of low carb diets. And one of the things that always concerned me about low carb diets is you can lose some body fat and you start looking good, but how healthy are you? I always worry about cortisone levels or cortisol levels, not cortisone, cortisol, the stress hormone
Right.
increasing and staying elevated. And yeah, those things really concern me. So
Yeah.
always
So,
eating balanced.
all right. All right. Very good. And I imagine you try to stay away from stuff like processed foods and seed oils and all of that nonsense, right?
I do. About 20 years ago, I put together the connection that seed oils may be one of the number one vectors we're having as far as health problems. Doing
Hmm.
a deep dive, a real deep dive. I was looking at heart disease. Where it really started was type 2 diabetes. I was coaching coaching some people up in swim, surprisingly, even that long ago. And I was seeing this disconnect, this rise in type 2 diabetes. Yet every data point that I could find on sugar and high fructose corn syrup consumption showed that more or less stagnant. So it's like something else is driving this. And so the strangest thing was I looked at heart disease
Mm-hmm.
as a precursor. And where I went to was going back to the 1800s and realizing that around 1850 there was no such thing as heart disease. Nobody, you just didn't, it just didn't, you didn't find it. And so it was the advent of the cottonseed oil into our food supply system that seemed to be that trigger. And so 20 years ago, people thought I was nuttier than a fruitcake, saying that vegetable oils are potentially causing many health issues. I mean, people
Mm-hmm.
thought I was nuts. I can't
Right.
believe how people, you would understand that, but
Right.
yeah, it's like, no, vegetables are good for you, so vegetable oil is great for you. I'm like, no, this is where one of our problems exists. And then looking at genetically modified crops and really the glyphosate that's sprayed on them,
Right.
and the triggers that those cause, I was like, well, we got two swords coming at us at this point. So yeah, but
Yeah,
it's
no,
just
that's, I mean, you were way ahead of your time. Um, it's really funny now how they're trying to play games with these seed oils because
yep,
I just saw a package of rice and you would think rice is relatively innocuous, right? And
yep,
I'm reading down at like the third or fourth ingredient, it says rapeseed oil. Well, they've figured out that they can say rapeseed oil and people are not going to dog them on canola oil, but you know,
no,
it's the same thing. But
same thing. Yeah,
and I'm thinking I actually like the term rapeseed because it kind of rapes your health,
yep.
and you know it's easy to. But I may be totally wrong on this, but did they use that rapeseed oil as an engine lubricant in aeronautical
Mhm.
endeavors way back in the day?
Yes, that was the original purpose of these oils. Were kind of to replace using, thank goodness, in ways, stop killing the whales, and so these oils were used as an industrial lubricant. And then I believe somebody tasted it. I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't taste too bad. And we've got an excess supply of this. I wonder if we can put it in the food supply system. I think where the problem came in was those oils are liquid, and the people who are cooking food were used to lard and butter, which are more solids.
Right.
So until you partially hydrogenate it, it stays in that liquid format. And so once that process came into being, now it started to look like and act like the other oils that people were used to cooking with, and lard and butter especially.
Right.
So yeah, you got to make it look and act like, and then that becomes more acceptable. And then eventually the liquid side, I think, became much more acceptable over time, just as people got used to it.
Yeah, well,
So that's it.
you combine that then with the glyphosate and
Mhm.
all of the high fructose corn syrup and all of this other stuff. The human being doesn't have a chance, really.
It really doesn't. And where you really have to start looking at it is, what are we doing to our gut bacteria at this particular point? How can they survive
Right.
with all this? And this is, I think this is where we're looking at the problem with all of the autoimmune issues that are popping up just everywhere.
Right.
Just pick one out of the hat: MS to autism,
Right.
and just the body's just not it. We've been going for hundreds of thousands of years with X, and we can probably take one variable, but it seems like you can pull 10 different variables out, from
Right.
microplastics to seed oils to glyphosate. I
Right.
mean, just start naming them. It's like it's sort of like, a couple days ago, some tornadoes came through our area. We didn't get a tornado. The conditions, plural, were ripe, but we were fine. Areas to our south and areas to our north were not so fine. So it's sort of like health is the same thing. We can play the Russian roulette and get away with the artificial sweeteners, get away with the seed oils, get away with the glyphosate, get away with the GMOs, and we're fine. Well, this person is. And
Right.
so, and then the other thing from an epidemiological standpoint, how do you track this stuff down? I
Right.
mean,
Right.
when you got X, Y, Z factors, and here's Q over here now too.
Right.
Like, how do you put it all together? It's hard.
Well, if you look at a lot of the epidemiological data, like pre 1900, the chronic disease that we have now is astronomically much higher than what they had then, as far as heart
Yep.
disease, cancers,
Yep.
all of these things, so you can see, I mean, granted, that's going to take in multiple variables, and you can kind of go from a correlation versus causation. But I think it's pretty intuitive that if you pump all of these different things into the human being, it's kind of like putting gas into a diesel engine. It isn't going to run very well, very far for very long.
No.
And we're not getting better in life expectancy.
No.
And we spend the most money on humans in the world, in our country, and we're one of the sickest nations in the world. And there's a great incongruity there.
Yes, there is. I mean, here's one to think back. When we were young, what was the SPF on sunscreen? The highest. It's like
10.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4, 10.
Right.
And
Right.
now you can buy 100
Right.
and 120. And so you have to ask this very simple question. Did the sun change or did our bodies change? And when you look at what
Well,
seed oils,
maybe
yeah,
maybe dermatology philosophy changed.
it did. Yes,
Yeah.
it certainly did.
Right. So,
That's another can you're opening up.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah,
So, well, I mean, since I opened it up, I mean, if you look at the big premises like, oh, we've got to prevent melanoma,
yeah,
but malignant melanoma, most are in the truncal region, which are really not sun exposed areas. So their whole
correct.
thesis is bullshit.
It is.
Yeah.
It's absolute.
Yeah.
I read a study that if you want to get melanoma, just stay under fluorescent lights.
Right. Right.
That would be a main causation. But if you really look at the seed oils do so much damage to the skin, and it makes the skin so inefficient as far as being able to open pores and process the vitamins from the sun, the various UV lights.
Right.
That's why people are burning. It's that.
Before we continue with this great discussion, I just want to take a quick break to acknowledge this week's sponsor. I'm constantly exploring new avenues to enhance well-being and address any health concerns. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to an exciting supplement called Stem Regen, which I take daily and genuinely believe could revolutionize your health journey as well. Stem Regen stands out as a game changer in the realm of wellness. Crafted from 5 potent plant extracts, it boasts a remarkable ability to stimulate the release of your body's own stem cells from your red bone marrow. Why is this significant? Well, stem cells are the superheroes of our body's natural repair system. They possess the extraordinary capacity to morph into various cell types, aiding in tissue regeneration and repair. As we age, the quantity of circulating stem cells in our system reduces significantly, impairing our body's ability to heal and rejuvenate itself effectively. Stem Regen steps in to counter this decline by kickstarting the release of stem cells into circulation, thereby bolstering your body's innate repair mechanisms. Once unleashed into your bloodstream, these mobilized stem cells actively seek out areas of damage or injury, initiating the healing process. By incorporating Stem Regen into your daily routine, you're essentially empowering your body to tap into its own regenerative prowess more efficiently. I firmly believe that Stem Regen could be a valuable addition to your wellness regimen, especially if you're seeking to fortify overall health and vitality, accelerate tissue repair, or expedite recovery from injury or illness. This first of its kind stem cell mobilizer is changing the game in regenerative medicine. Don't wait to unleash your body's innate healing capabilities. Visit stemregen.co/Dr. Steven, that's with a PH, and use the code SBPOD to get a 15% discount off your first order of Stem Regen. Hey Spelunkers, We're thrilled to kick off season 6 with a fresh new look and the most exciting content we've ever delivered. This season, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of human optimization and understanding. But wait, there's more. We're giving back to our loyal listeners with an exclusive giveaway each and every episode of season 6. That's right, prizes are waiting just for you. So how can you join in on this fun? Well, it's simple. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and here's the magic touch. Comment, "Let's Spelunk" on any of our Season 6 YouTube videos to enter. Of course, please add anything else you'd like to your review. Don't miss your chance to explore, learn, and win with the Pod of Inquiry. Let's spelunk into the wonders of Season 6 together.
Well, one of them, but there's a biggie right there. I don't have the seed oils, and I go out, I get full sun exposure in the vineyard, and I don't burn. I'm a happy person.
Well, and I just read something the other day, and I can't vouch for this 100%, but it was kind of compelling when I read it that people, they're very worried about basal cell, squamous cell.
Yep.
I mean, squamous cell is a much worse carcinoma than basal cell, of course. But
yeah,
the fact of the matter is that they showed a higher correlation of longevity with people who actually got occasional basal cell carcinomas, and because they were out getting the benefits of the sun. So, it's kind of interesting. I mean, sometimes that pendulum just knows nothing but to just swing all the way to the other direction. And I think that's kind of what has happened with the demonization of sun light by the dermatology profession. It's similar and analogous to me as the big fluoride debate right now. And, the dentists are up in arms all over the place because Florida has outlawed fluoridation of water. And I think the other state was Utah. And everybody gets entrenched in their little paradigm, and they don't have the ability to get outside of that paradigm. And so everything's demonized if it's anything new information.
Yeah. Yeah. I was not on the fluoride. I wasn't looking at fluoride, but I was close to looking at fluoride about five years ago when I was looking at aluminum. There was a little snippet that came out in one of the books that I've got that had fluoride in there, and I put it down as a marker. I need to look at this. I did switch to non-fluoridated toothpaste several years ago, and sometimes I brush my teeth with just olive oil. But yeah, I hadn't really looked at it that closely, but I did realize perhaps maybe I need to re-look at the water supply that I have, and at least put a pure filter on it. And that was about 5-6 years ago, at least 5 or 6 years ago. Could have been longer.
Yeah, and I don't really understand the dental debate that much. I mean, how many people would trade a cavity now and then versus neurocognitive destruction? Right? I mean,
that's a great question.
So
there was a doctor. I think his name was Dr. Weston, if I'm correct.
Yeah, Weston Price.
Weston Price.
Yes.
Didn't he go over to Africa to help the poor Africans in the early 1900s, because they've got to have dental hygiene issues, just to find out that none of them had any cavities.
Right.
Yeah.
I've heard, I haven't read much about what Weston Price has done, but you got to give him credit too, because some things that he did were like you being way ahead of the times, as far as, looking at different types of, topics that were perceived one way, when in reality, he kind of figured it out that it wasn't really that way. But I thought that was kind of interesting. So since you mentioned glyphosate, I wanted to ask you, I don't know if this is true, but I've heard it multiple times that they actually use glyphosate as a drying agent for oats.
Correct.
So, so every oatmeal, unless it's probably some obscure farm or something that doesn't use glyphosate, if they're bringing these oats in and they're soaking them in glyphosate to make them dry and dry them out, again, what are they thinking from a human standpoint?
Well, the way it works, which is pretty simple stuff, is the time in which those are harvested is not late in the fall. So what they're trying to do, what they realized, so a farmer is paid for quantity, percent of, and moisture content. So when it costs money to take that crop and send it over to a dryer. Okay.
Right.
So, and I can hear those things in our region when crops are being dried out. But it was realized that if you spray it at several perfect intervals, you can kill the weeds down that are near the crop itself. The glyphosate, if you have the right quantity, will trigger death in the plant, but the plant will then send its energy into the oat or the seed or the wheat, things like that, send that energy upward to ripen that, and then it'll desiccate, dry it out. So it's a total win situation if you're paid on quantity, percent of, and moisture content. It
Right.
totally makes sense to spray it. So so I fully understand why it's being done. It's just that getting word out that this is perhaps an unhealthy way of doing things. You'd have to look at Dr. Stephanie Seneff's book Toxic Legacy, where she goes into all the incredible dangers that glyphosate has on the human body. Just
Yeah.
crazy stuff.
Yeah.
It's the chelating properties that really intrigue me probably the most, is its metal attraction properties, and how, like for instance, if you're putting on deodorant with aluminum, you're putting on sunscreen with aluminum, and then you're eating this big plate of spaghetti or oats that have glyphosate in them, how easy those two chemicals can get together and cause this disruption, especially in your brain.
So
So
so the glyphosate actually chelates the aluminum,
yes,
and then what, passes it through the blood-brain barrier, or
yes,
accelerates that?
because glyphosate, if you look at its chemistry structure looks like glycine,
Okay.
very
An
similar.
essential amino acid?
Yeah,
Right.
very. And so then you open up all kinds of little Pandora's boxes. But
Yeah.
because you don't feel bad initially, you don't realize the slow drip systemic burn that's happening to your body.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Until you hit an age that all of this stuff comes to, you know, I hate to use the word fruition because that sounds positive, but all of
yeah,
these factors, they have a cumulative effect. I mean,
yeah,
look at the microphthalates and the plastics and all of the stuff they're finding now and fishing out of cadaveric brains.
yeah.
I saw something the other day. It was some of these people had the equivalent of I can't remember what they were comparing it to, but it was a significant amount of plastic. It was really shocking.
Yeah, that's an X factor I've not figured out how to
Yeah.
get around. How do
Yeah.
we get around the microplastics? They seem to be everywhere.
Right.
So I
Right.
I literally don't have an idea on how to, other than try to minimize. I mean, we don't have any plastic food containers. Ours are all glass,
Yeah.
but you're still exposed to plastic everywhere.
Oh,
So I mean,
everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
like this computer is plastic.
Right.
My glasses that I have on, plastic.
Right.
It's everywhere. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you remember the movie The Graduate?
I do.
Do you
Yeah.
remember? Do you remember one of the big things that they were talking about was the future, and the word was plastics.
Yes.
And it was
Yes.
like, oh, they didn't even know, you know?
Yeah.
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 Real
It's
interesting.
it, it's really amazing how, you get a generation or two into something, and the body just can't is not responding. I mean, think about this. This is one of the thoughts that's pervading my mind right now, because I've got a nephew whose wife is pregnant. And I mean, the amount of conversations we've had on health and making sure that baby gets through the first couple years and does not have an autoimmune issue. It made me think, how many couples in the childbearing age group are deciding, whoa, I don't even want to have children because I don't want to take the chance of my child having autoimmune issues, lifelong health problems.
Right.
And what happens to our workforce after that? I
Right.
mean, we're looking at a potential population crash because of what we experienced in COVID and how we lost trust of the medical community and our government as far as advice on how to do
Right.
things from a health standpoint. I mean, it's
Right.
just I don't know how we're going to get around this. It's
Well,
like,
I think that
wow.
there's some countries that are extremely worried right now because the fertility rate isn't
Yeah.
at a sustainable level. And I forget which country it was, but they said 30 to 40 years, there's not even going to be enough people to, pay the federal programs, because that's all a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah. Yeah, sure
It's
is.
not like they're banking the money and saving it for people. They're just paying in, they're taking out what's paid in today. And it's just it's essentially it's a Ponzi scheme.
It
And,
is.
and so they don't, they're not going to have the workforce. They're not going to have the humans to have a country that continues to flourish.
No,
So,
no. And I just read an article that the mRNA shot um, damaged 60% of the follicles for the women's eggs.
mm-hmm.
I, it leaves me aghast. It leaves me speechless. And so now we'll take the couple that wants to have a child
And
and
can't.
and they yeah
Yep.
it's like I don't even want to think what 20 years from now it's going to look like. So,
Well,
but
yeah,
hopefully
no,
that's not a doomsday thing. But
no, it's a frightening thing. But I mean, when you look at all of these things and you really have to wonder what's going on here. Is profit and motive, is profit the motive without any regard for, the citizens' longevity and health? I mean, the whole system has really, in my opinion, the whole system needs a rewire. Or
yeah,
otherwise, there's not going to be anybody to be in the system anymore.
I fully agree. I remember when I graduated college in 1989, uh, just over at my parents for dinner, whole family over, and I said our government needs a reset at this particular point. They should have. The only thing our founding fathers forgot to do was every 200 years, boom, everything resets back to the original Constitution, and we hit the go
Right.
button again. The problem I think is people have lost their ability to say, I'm sorry, and I made a mistake, and I was at wrong, I was at fault. And without that, and that could be from a lot of different avenues, lack of faith in God. Could be a benchmark for starting that. There's a whole lot, but yeah, when with the whole, I end up getting Dr. Naomi Wolf's Pfizer
Mm-hmm.
Papers book. It's about, I don't know, this thick,
It's a
and
monster. Yeah.
it's a monster.
Yeah.
And just thumbing through it, I'd like to sit down and read the whole thing from page to page. But just seeing that they knew that those shots were 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 causing health problems. And just today, I got something from the Daily Wire showing that the Biden administration purposefully covered up myocarditis
Right.
and let these shots just roll right on out. It's that whole thing of, well, we let the dog out. We can't call him back. If we do call him back, then we'll have egg on our face. We don't want egg on our face. So let's go ahead and kill a bunch of people and name a bunch of people so we don't have egg on our face. It's just
Yeah.
the morality of what I see in that. And then for the company, like for instance, for Pfizer to keep producing those shots and knowing that they had data stating that these shots are hurting people. What else are you doing wrong? That's the
Right.
question I always ask. What
Right.
if you're doing this? That tells me you have a systemic cultural problem in your organization.
Right.
That drives me nuts. I mean, who hasn't been in a corporation, an organization where you go, you guys got a you got a systemic cultural issue. I'm out of here. So
Right.
I can't live with the moralities and ethics of this organization. I got to leave. So yeah,
Yeah. It's
that's what kind of struck me the most. And
Well, it's a very dark time, and I think that I think most people realize that they were greatly duped by this
yeah,
thing. Mark Twain, however, made a great quote, and that was, "It's easier to fool a man once than to convince the man he's been fooled." That's a paraphrase because
yeah,
but you see a lot of people, they can't admit that, oh yeah, I was harmed by this thing, and
Yeah.
and so they keep doubling down. But
Yeah.
it's well, all that aside, let's talk
Yeah.
about some wine now, because
Okay.
you're doing some really interesting things. You sent me some wines a week or so ago, and I got into the thing that was labeled Shard, and
Hmm.
the Shard. And like I told you, I'm not a big fan of Chardonnay at all. But this was a great wine, and it was so different. I likened it to like a Sauvignon Blanc. And then you told me you had what, 4 or 5 different varietals in there,
That wine, we have two
or
varieties
two
in
for
it.
okay,
That is Chardonnay and the hybrid grape off of Chardonnay, which is a cross between Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc. The grape variety is called Chardonnay.
okay,
And and we launched it. We launched the Chard. Oh, I'm going to say at least 15, maybe 20 years ago. And it
right,
was one of the easiest blends I've ever done.
right.
But the problem is, the problem is every year the growing conditions are different. And then I had 3 years where I thought I lost my mojo. I could not get. I just like, all right, here we go. No, no. I'm like, you just walk out. You walk out of it. You got all your samples. You got your pipette, and it's like, screw it, I'm done. This is not working. And then you go, it was just me that day. It's the Ganzfeld effect. It's coming right back in.
Tell us
No,
what the
it,
Ganzfeld effect is.
it's a desensitization. I summarize it this way: it's a desensitization to environmental stimuli. The best way to explain this, and and this is where, like, for instance, wine competitions are completely flawed. But let's say, for instance, we had 8 people together and we're frying fish.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
And we tell 4 people to leave, go outside for 10 minutes, and then
Okay.
come back in.
Okay.
When they come back in, they're going to be like, you guys in here, y'all stunk up the joint. We'll be like, what are you talking about? I can't smell. It doesn't smell bad in here. What are you doing? What are you thinking? And so we get used to an environmental stimuli on various senses, sense of taste, sense of smell. I equate it also to, like, when I put my foot in the water at the pool, I'm like, okay, it's cold today. And
Right.
then if I leave my foot in there, okay, it's fine. It's not going to be bad.
Right.
So, but it is something that we keenly pay attention to. Is that aspect is I always say we're being Gansfelded. So that's
Oh,
when we
okay.
stop blended. We're done. We call it a day. Years ago, I'll give you a fun thing.
And now a message from our sponsor. Well, folks, if you are over 40 and you are not using a supplement to augment nitric oxide production, you should really rethink that. This molecule is absolutely imperative to the health of so many bodily functions, not the least of which is cardioprotection. If you have any question on nitric oxide, I suggest that you register with Approved Medical Solutions and begin receiving their educational emails. I never miss a day of nitric oxide supplementation. That's how important it is. Long overdue, Approved Medical Solutions created the only nitric oxide replenishment formula without oxalates. Approved Medical Solutions does not use beet, spinach, or arginine. Approved Medical Solutions is proud to offer our audience their oxalate-free nitric oxide formula. If you are not a healthcare provider, you can still get started by going to approvedmedicalsolutions.com and use the code SBarrett at checkout, and you'll receive a 10% medical discount savings. You can register to receive educational emails without any purchase. For licensed practitioners, you too can go to approvedmedicalsolutions.com and get registered today. They have unique bundles for all of the full-fledged spelunkers of the Plot of Inquiry. Use Pot of Inquiry at checkout after registration. Here's a little secret. If you order their testing strips and test every patient for a few clinic days, you will see every one of them be deficient. When they see this result, they will want you to start them up immediately. Now, thanks to Approved Medical Solutions, you can give them the best care without the worry of oxalates.
Because I look at the Ganzfeld effect as one effect. The human taste bud count, which ranges anywhere from 500 on the low side to more than 12,000 on the high side. Tim Hanna, Master of Wine, introduced me to that concept. And then the human mind can remember up to 40,000 aromas and flavors tied to moods, events, either positive or negative. And I was talking to the director of a major national wine competition, and I said these competitions are flawed. They're just flawed because you have all these things, these variables coming together. So after only like 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, your judges can't really do this anymore. And so it's just, oh, no. I said, all right, I'll prove it to you. And so I took our Cabernet Sauvignon. You want to take a wine variety that there's going to be lots of entries. And
Okay.
and you want to stage it so that when you send in an entry, they had a 3-week window. So on day one, I sent in Turtle Run Winery Cabernet Sauvignon. On week 3, I used a custom label. We did custom wine work for various other organizations, and I put one of their custom labels on the bottles. All the wine that I sent in came from the same case,
Okay.
same exact case.
Okay.
And I was like, let the show begin. And sure enough, one of the cabs got a double gold, the other got a bronze. And so right there, I knew what happened. The science was there on my side, but yeah, when it comes to tasting, like creating the chard, it's a blend of Chardonnay and Chardonnay, and we're trying, and our effort is to get the flavors of both varieties to showcase themselves in that blend, so one isn't completely muted. So with that particular wine, there's no oak, there's no malolactic fermentations. It's just clean fruit. Now we do on the Chardonnay, we did some Sur-Lie on the lees aging in stainless steel to add some complexity. But we just sat there with a pipette and we hit that blend. We create that ratio, and we had multiples on that one. It was like, okay, we can go here, or we can go here. What are we going to do? Then analysis paralysis. All right, screw it.
Right.
We'll do this tomorrow. And then we come back and go, okay, here's the notes. This is the blend, and it's a fun wine. We're actually trying to blend that again now off of a different fermentation of Chardonnay, and well, it's a struggle. We don't have it. We tried. That's what we were trying to do last week, and we don't have it yet. So we'll try again next week.
There you go. There you
yeah.
go. Now, I've got a couple of questions to ask you before we wrap up, but tell us about how many, I mean, you sent me the information about your winery and all of the different varieties that you produce, which is, that was actually head spinning when I saw that, because, I'm not used to seeing that. It's like, wow, this has so many different varieties. It was just amazing. So tell us a little bit, tell everybody about the winery itself, and if they want to come and visit, how to find you, that type of thing. And
okay, excellent, thank you. We our wines are the way our catchphrase on wines is exceptional quality wine to go with food and friends. We have, back in college, I got to try 65 and 100-year-old wines, and they were spectacular in college. And I realized those wines didn't have all the crazy additives that exist in wines today. So our processes in winemaking are using the natural techniques, using real oak, not liquid oak, real barrels, allowing natural malolactic fermentation if it develops, great. Making sweet wines, not back adding sugar, controlling our fermentations, filtering at the right exact time. Aging wines, blending wines. We love blending. That was one of the neat things in college. I learned a lot about European winemaking due to the craziness of blending, especially in Bordeaux. And I was so fascinated with the various percents, and I found that just truly remarkable. And so we kind of modeled our winery off of those kind of things. And you look at Alsace and Lorraine, and they blend like crazy. And then you go down to Italy and how they make Chianti Classico Reserva, at least how they used to. through the blending. And if you need to soften wine, add white wine instead of fining agents.
Right.
And so we do the exact same things, these time-honored traditional ways of making wine, um, right here in Corydon, Indiana. And it's a ball. What I don't have fun with is sometimes chemical drifts from other farms disrupting our viticulture, and then Mother Nature playing all kinds of fun games with us.
Right.
Because growing grapes in the Midwest, you just go, wow, every growing year is different, and so it's a
Right.
head scratcher, and you go, okay.
Yeah.
But that's the fun part too. I wouldn't want. What would bore me to death is if every vintage tasted exactly the same, and if I didn't, it would be no fun at all if I followed the exact same roadmap and here comes the wine. And like that would bore me senseless. That'd be no
Right.
fun. And
Right.
so I love the complexities of everything's crazy different every year. And I really enjoy that. I think it's fun.
So I gotta go a little tangential here because you said something
Okay.
that just piqued my curiosity. You talked about taste bud count
Yes.
in different individuals. Tell me how that correlates with like the great sommeliers and the people who can't tell you whether it's Coca-Cola or a wine.
Oh, you've opened up a huge area of topic. So so when I was going over this with Tim Hanna years ago, um, the so some generalizations without overly stereotyping. Um, if you have a whole lot of taste, and by the way, the sense of taste is directly correlated to sense of feel. Tim and I actually did a lot of exploratory work on how the mind actually thinks in accordance with taste bud count. And so we were able to actually correlate taste bud count to career types.
Okay.
It is absolutely valid. We absolutely nailed it. But and that's a whole. I could talk 3 hours just on that one topic alone, just on taste bud count. But to generalize it real quickly, um, at 12,000 taste buds, you have a whole lot of taste buds, a lot of things. It's super sensitive. So one of the things with somebody with super high taste buds that's offsetting is bitters. And sweetness and salt suppress bitterness. So a super high taste bud count person at 12,000, it's how much coffee goes into their cream and sugar. See how I
Okay.
reverse that?
Okay.
Um, so
Right.
so they're the ones who really enjoy sweet wines. And Tim became very interested in this topic was his mom. His mom hated dry wines, and he lived out in Napa and just
Hmm.
hated them. And like, why won't you drink these? And so he became fascinated with that, and did some very extensive research. Got some major doctors involved with this as far as studies, and it's really neat stuff. If you have 500 taste buds on the other side, so by the way, on the 12,000, take somebody to a fancy restaurant with 12,000, they're probably still ordering chicken tenders. They're going to get their French fries. Here's their ketchup. Just
Right.
a menu scares the daylights out of them because if they can't find something that they're used to or that they like, panic mode. Um,
Right.
Whereas at 500 taste buds, it's black coffee, it's porter stouts, IPAs, it's bourbon straight or on the rocks. Why don't you like this? Why I don't understand you. Why can't you eat like people who like normal people like me? Give me a glass of dry red wine, please. Um,
Right.
so what we found here was an interesting thing on the mental side of it. So the people in the low taste bud count, things are black and white to them. The creative spectrum sits out there on the high taste bud count person. So one of the worst things you can do to them is give them Ritalin. So if you
Okay.
want to calm them down, get rid of the wheat, get rid of the gluten, get rid of the sugar, get rid of the artificial sweeteners. But they think differently. So their empathy level is a little higher. They love jobs with chaos because their minds are going like this the whole time, sort of like mine. Um, and so and so you find them as in frontline healthcare. They're your nurses, they're teachers, educators. They love jobs where the job changes every day, where there's nothing static. Do not put them in front of a computer and have them do actuary work. They're just going to die. Don't let them do
Right.
spreadsheet work. They're going to die. So they
Interesting.
like to have their creativity expressed. The funny part is I was actually talking years ago to an HR firm who believed in, let's take somebody out to lunch, and if they put salt on their food before they try it, then they're resistant to change. And I told them that if you were hiring for sales or marketing and you turn that person away because they put salt on their food before trying it, you just missed out on somebody who was creative. At that point, those arms got crossed, and I like they were frozen, and they just froze up. So we at this winery pay very close attention to that, because we know that upwards of 18% of the worldwide population has a taste bud count that precludes them from ever liking dry wine.
Interesting.
It's amazing. And yeah, and here was the fun part on our sweet wines. I want to really emphasize this, because we don't add sugar. One of the things I was looking for, this is years ago, was where can a high taste bud count person pick up the bitters and alcohol in solution? And at that point is how we build our sweet wines, because I want to make the lowest calorie sweet wines in the world, where we have a minimal amount of sweetness in those wines, but they still taste sweet. I don't need the sweetness offsetting the bitters of alcohol. I need the sweetness in there for enjoyment. The neat thing is in fermentation, yeast sequentially ferment sugars. Right. We did a study from 2009 to 2012 with our wines. I couldn't get any universities to do it because, oh my gosh, I was threatening something. So we funded it ourselves, and yeast ferment glucose first, fructose at the end. Fructose is 2.2 times sweeter than glucose, nearly twice as sweet as sugar, comes in at 3 calories per gram versus 4 calories per gram, 3 on fructose, 4 on glucose. So if you use arrested fermentation, we got our alcohol levels down to 9.2 to 9.5%. Where those individuals really can't perceive the alcohol, then you arrest fermentation at 3 to 3.5% residual sugar, depending upon your pH and total titratable acidity, because that has an effect in the bearing. And then voila, you have low calorie sweet wines that are not disruptive to the human body. The body understands these things completely. Blood sugar levels don't spike, no headaches, no hangovers. Nobody gets thirsty. Nobody gets upset stomachs from the Krebs cycle being upset. It's just a beautiful thing.
Well, that's fantastic that you have applied actual science to winemaking, which you acknowledge is really an ancestral trade. I mean, for thousands of years, wines have been made with no concept of any of the science until guys like Pasteur came along and delineated what was really happening. These guys were, they were out there and they were, battlers of the terroir, and they just did it. But that's very cool. So let me ask you one last question. I know your winery is going to offer some significant opportunities with a discount for some of your wines for our listeners if they use the code POI for Pot of Inquiry 20. Tell us how they can get to your website and then put this code in, because I really encourage people to check your wines out, because I think they're really it's a very unique experience of what you're doing.
It is. Thank you. So what I'll do after we close down is I will go to turtlerunwinery.com.
Okay.
And then it's very easy to see how to order wines. We use a company called Vino Shipper that runs our back end for e-commerce. So they handle the licenses in various states and for us, and they also do all the credit card processing, things like that.
So you can ship pretty much anywhere then?
I think we're in like 40 something out of 50 states. Some
That's
states are still
some are in the dark ages.
But anyways, they get their tax money, so that's all that matters. Right. So yeah, it's really easy to set it up. We keep all of our wines on our website. So if you're at our website and looking at wines, and you come into the winery and wait a minute, you're not how come the Montepulciano is not on the wine list today? Well, we don't have it on the wine list today. So
Right.
you can order everything, but our wine list, Steve, we actually have close to 45 wines at our disposal to put on our wine list any given day.
Wow. That's
so
wild. That's
so
wild.
we keep it around 25 to 30 depending. Um, but yeah, go to turtlerunwinery.com, order wines. One of the things I can guarantee your listeners is if you overindulge on our wine on any given day or evening, you're not going to wake up with a headache, a hangover, upset stomach. Your blood sugar is going to be fine because your body understands the wines, because these wines are made the way we've been drinking wine for thousands and thousands of years.
Very
So
cool.
yeah, it's not hard. I can thank Dr. John Dome back at Miami University for tossing out some 65 and 100-year-old wines back in 1988. Like, wait a minute, these wines taste great. What about all these additives? I don't know about this. These
Yeah.
wines don't have these additives. I have a conflict.
There you
So
go.
yeah. So
Well,
it's yeah.
awesome. Jim, thanks so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. And I encourage everybody to go check out your winery. It's Turtle Run Winery, and it's the website again is turtlerunwinery.com.
Yes, turtlerunwinery.com.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Jim. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. As you know, I'm passionate about learning new ways to address health concerns. Moreover, before I recommend any treatment or supplement, I always try it on myself. Today, I want to share my experience with Troche. I have investigated other phytocannabinoid formulas and found that, in general, they were not consistent or reliable in their results. What impressed me about the Troche delivery technology is that each rapid release tab is engineered to provide fast-acting, long-lasting, reliable delivery of phytocannabinoids to support your health and well-being. Many physicians understand the importance of using phytocannabinoids for physical discomfort, sleep issues, and mood. But if the formula is not reliable, most patients will give up, never experiencing the real benefits. I put this to the test on myself and actually tracked my progress. This graph shows my results for reducing stress. Troche is so serious about how well their product works, they partnered with People Science to provide the Troche Tracker health assessment application that lets you monitor your progress and works with you to accomplish your wellness goals. If you are a patient, click the link below and the patient button to register for Troche Tracker. Assess your baseline health metrics and receive a free Troche sample in addition to getting preferred patient pricing on all products. If you are a clinician interested in adding Troche to your practice, click the link below and then the clinician button to register for a wholesale affiliate account or go to the link above. I hope you all enjoyed today's show and got some truly empowering knowledge out of it. You can always follow up on anything we talked about in the show notes found at our website, podofinquiry.com. If you think you might have tickled just a few neurons inside that cerebral cortex, please spread the word to your friends and colleagues and tell them that they need to get spelunking. Also, if you can take a minute to leave a review on your podcast provider of choice, and especially Apple Podcasts, that would greatly help the show and be so appreciated, provided it's positive. And if not, then just keep your pie hole shut and stay down in that cave. Let's keep spelunking.
This podcast is designed for informational purposes only and does not constitute any medical or surgical consulting advice or imply a development of any physician-patient relationship. The opinions of guests who are featured on the show are not necessarily the opinions of Dr. Barrett or the production team. This podcast is owned solely by Barrett Medical and Surgical Media, LLC. While the show is highly oriented for physicians and healthcare providers, anyone interested in the improvement of human performance and understanding will find this a welcome goblet to sip from, or guzzle. However, no representation or warranties are made in any way whatsoever on this podcast for any products, techniques, or other things discussed. Invited guests are not vetted by the Pod of Inquiry for their qualifications and may have a direct or indirect financial interest in what they present and discuss on the show. The Pod of Inquiry disclaims any responsibility from anything taken from the show and used personally or professionally. It is a responsibility of the listener to perform their own due diligence prior to the implementation of any ideas, products, techniques, or anything talked about on the show.